Let's bring in Athol Trollip of ActionSA parliamentary leader, who joins us further for this discussion. Athol, a very good evening to you. What's your take, your immediate reaction in the wake of hearing what the cabinet ministers in the various portfolios will be doing?
Well, first of all, we're pleased that we finally have a cabinet. We're very concerned that the cabinet's bigger than ever before. And the hypocrisy of some of the parties that are now in the Grand Coalition accepting positions of ministers and deputy ministers when they were calling for deputy ministerial positions to be done away with is a concern. This cabinet will cost billions to operate, and we as South Africans understand that we don't have that kind of money or the luxury of that kind of size cabinet in a country that's relatively small. But there are some positive signs. We're very pleased that education, both basic and higher education, are now well rid of Angie Motshekga and Blade and Nzimande, and hopefully we can turn that around and start putting our country on the path to a better education system and better education performance. But unfortunately, they've been retained. Both those ministers have really not done well in the past 15 years in their departments. And Blade Nzimande has been in the Department of Science and Technology before and made a mess there. And we fear that he'll do the same going back. Defence and military veterans is in a parlous state, and we don't believe that Angie Motshekga has the capacity to do anything about that. And that would be a grave concern for us. And then, of course, I don't know who your host was. I couldn't see. I mean, your last person on your show was your guest. But it is apparent that Cyril Ramaphosa did not trust his government of national unity stroke Grand Coalition members who are ministers to minister their departments alone or give them a deputy from their own party. So there are watchdog ministry positions, both in deputy ministers where other parties are governing and where the ANC is governing, there are deputy positions going to the other parties. So there has been dishing out of patronage, which is what happens when you have a prolonged negotiation like this and many parties coming into a grand coalition. But now what remains to be done is that these parties need to go to work, and their representatives that have been given the responsibility of fixing South Africa need to get about doing that. And they can count on our very strict but constructive opposition. And where we can support them and they make the right decisions in the interest of South Africa, we will do that as well.
You say you don't have much confidence in Angie Motshekga heading up the Defence and Military Department. Bantu Holomisa will be his deputy. He's got the stripes that he's earned in the military. Do you think that he may not be effective?
Well, look, he's the deputy minister, so he's not in charge of that department. And, he was a self-appointed general many, many years ago, more than 30 years ago. So he has some military experience, but he's out of practice. And the Defence Force and departments of health and departments of agriculture and those kind of departments need people with personal experience who understand the technicalities in those kind of departments. And we fear that many of the appointments, people do not have the technical expertise, and that they will take a good few months getting accustomed to their departments before they can actually start doing anything. And that is also a matter of concern.
You mentioned the Department of Agriculture. John Steenhuisen is heading that up. Do you think that he himself will need to do a lot more work to effectively run it?
He will have to learn a lot about agriculture, that's for sure. But agriculture in South Africa is a very complex industry or economy. It's complex because there are traditional commercial farmers and there are subsistence farmers and they're communal farmers. And agriculture is really not performing optimally, especially in the former homeland territories. So, one would need to be able to communicate with those people in their language and the language of farming and the language of everyday use. And it might be difficult for John Steenhuisen, but I'm not saying he won't manage, but it's going to be a very difficult adaptation. And we would have liked to have seen somebody with more hands-on experience and expertise in a department like agriculture.
Very well. Thank you so much for weighing in there. Athol Trollip, ActionSA parliamentary leader, just giving us his reaction.